Welcome to English Language Lab. In this lesson, we're going to look at 4 business English phrasal verbs. Break something down, fit in, hold someone back, and pin down. Let's take a look at our first phrasal verb, break something down. Now, there are literal meanings of break something down, and this literal meaning is to demolish something. For example, the old house was demolished to make way for a new development. So this is describing the old house being removed or destroyed so that a new house or a new block of apartments could be built. That is a literal meaning. Another literal meaning would be to separate. For example, each lesson is broken down into easy to manage chunks. So the information has been separated to make it easier. Now, our phrasal verb, break something down, has more in common with this idea of separating than it does with demolishing or destroying. We don't usually want to destroy or demolish something when we're using this phrasal verb. What we want to do is take something that is big or complex and difficult to understand and make it easier or simple. So, information is easier to understand when we present it, say, in a graph or chart form, because you take complex details, complex information, and you separate it out into something that is much simpler. Now, if you take a look at the chart on the screen, this has taken sales information for an organization and broken the information down into the achievements of individual salespeople so that you can see what each individual salesperson has achieved. It's easier to understand the information. So to break something down means very simply to take something that is complicated and make it easier to understand. Now, this could be information, such as sales information in the chart, but somebody may ask you to take a task or a job and break it down into individual actions. So the whole becomes many smaller and simpler things. That is, break something down. Let's move on to our next phrasal verb, fit in. Now, fit in has several different meanings, but they are all very similar. They're relating to acceptance, belonging, or similarity. So let's just take a look at what we mean by acceptance. He didn't fit in to the team, so we had him replaced. He didn't fit into the team, so we had him replaced. Here, fit in is describing somebody who is not working well with other people. Now, it may be that the other people in that team, in that group, don't like the person, so they didn't accept the person into their group. He didn't fit in. You know, we all have, or we've all experienced or seen groups of people, perhaps groups of friends, who are very close friends, and if you are not a member of that group of friends, you don't fit in to the group. You are not accepted by the group. Likewise, we can use this phrasal verb to describe similarity to something or somebody else. In the example I'm giving you here, I tried to fit in, but they were much younger than me. So in this example, perhaps you're trying to be part of a group of people who are of a different age, maybe even from a different country than you are from. Now, they all have something similar in common. It may be their age, what they do, where they're from, but you are different, so you do not fit in with the group. And that leads us on to talking about belonging. When I joined, they explained how my job fits into the project. So here we are describing how one person or one thing belongs or is part of something much bigger than itself. So if you're working in a job right now, your job fits into a wider part of your company. You have a particular thing or a particular job that you do, which is part of something much bigger than just your one task. So that is our phrasal verb fit in. To hold someone back. To hold someone back is a phrasal verb that describes preventing or restricting somebody's actions. So you're stopping someone from doing something or from achieving something. As an example, if you don't have good business English skills, that may prevent you from doing your job effectively and in the best way. So if you can't do your work effectively, then you probably won't get that promotion that you're aiming for at work. To conclude, we could say that your lack of business English skills are holding you back at work. So to hold someone back means to restrict or to prevent them from doing something or achieving something. Which brings us on to our final phrasal verb of the day, pin down. We use pin down for two reasons. The first one is to help us to understand and clarify details of something we're involved in. And the second meaning of pin down is to try and force somebody to do something. Usually we try and pin someone down to a specific time or a date for completing a task or doing a task. So to have a clear understanding of the details, here are some examples. We need to pin down the start and end date of the project. So what we're trying to say here is it's important for us to understand when something starts, when something finishes. Those dates are important for us before we can do anything else. It's important to have a fixed start date and a fixed end date. So we need to pin down the start and end date of the project. The design didn't work, but he couldn't quite pin down why. So in this scenario, something isn't quite working. Something hasn't gone to plan. But the details, the understanding of the details why, are not clear. We do not have a good, clear understanding of why something hasn't worked. So we need to pin down why something hasn't worked. Finally, we can use pin down to try and force someone to do something. Now, force is quite a strong word, so perhaps we would look at using pin down to try and get somebody to commit to doing something or achieving something by a certain time or date. For an example, if you're trying to arrange an appointment with somebody, you might say, look, we have to meet soon, so I want you to pin down a date and a time. Let me know precisely which day and which time. Let's pin it down, and that's when we will meet. Force is quite strong, but it can be used to force somebody to commit to something in a stronger way, or you might just ask somebody to be quick about pinning down a date and a time for something to happen. So there are our 4 business English phrasal verbs. If you have any questions at all, please get in touch with us.